and gentlemen, to make the first speech this evening and pose the first toast, of course, the father of the bride, Mr. Bill Batchelor.
Cheers, Derek.
No pressure.
No pressure. They say the opposite attracts, so I put this theory to test and I decided to look at Scott and Jill's relationship. Jill, of course, is a bit of a blether. That means she can't have talked about, by the way, Dan. Right. An example of this is Jill, to this day, is the only person that I know that can sing 15 verses of Pull, Pull, Pull the Cracker Bang. I'm sure the Hearties will remember that dreaded Christmas where Jill, at the ripe old age of 6, held the stage for what seemed like hours, giving us the full version of Pull, Pull, Pull the Cracker Bang. Scott, on the other hand, is quiet. He has to be when Jill and Isabel are about. At his first meeting with Jean, Scott stood for a full 10 minutes and said only one word for the whole time. Maybe that's not too surprising, given that Jeans can't have talk as well. Jill likes to organise things, especially Scott.
He needs it.
Exactly. In a recent trip to New York, she not only organised Scott, but all his friends. Right down to the point which each week and hour was scheduled. Simpson and Bell were on this trip. I'm sure they could testify to Jill's good organisational skills. I think Scott's organisational skills are used in the art of abdication. No, sorry, I mean delegation. During the school holidays one year, Scott, along with Yvonne and Nicola, were asked by Willie and Isabel to do a few chores. His delegation skills came to the fore, and he organised some of his pals' sisters to do the chores for him, whilst he and his mate polished up their game skills on the Xbox. I think he called it, was it girls' stuff you called it?
I think the exact words were women's work.
Women's work, that's what it was. Being Nicola and Yvonne being no pushovers, of course, demanded some payment for their chores. Jill is a spendthrift and never spends money on things like shoes or clothes unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is every weekend.
Yeah. I asked Scott about this a wee while back, and he agreed, and he told me that she hates spending money, and he wishes that she would just go out and spend some more money on shoes, clothes, and things for the house. No, seriously, Jill, we all know about your passion for fashion, especially June shoes. Now, Jill likes to get up early in the morning, and at the weekends has been known to get up as early as 9:30. Just a wee bit to catch up on me. It's been known that Scott likes to lie in. And when I asked Jill about this, she says, no, he gets up a little after me at the weekends, normally only about 3 to 4 hours after. This, I'm sure, may change as their family gets bigger, and the right discussions they will soon have on whose turn it is when the kids get up at 6 or 7 in the morning.
It's yours.
Very true.
Grandad.
Yeah. Punctuality is Jill's middle name. And yeah, unfortunately, it's me and Jean's fault.
Is this the guests that we're late today? Is this the guests that we're late today?
True, and she hates being late for anything. Scott is a wee bit more laid back, and he's hoping that he will soon beat Isabel's record of always being on time, Isabel.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yep.
Scott, Jill tells me, is very house proud and says he's had a penny for every time she's seen Scott with a duster and a hoover in his hand. You'd be rich people.
I'd have 1 pence.
She also wishes that he would just stop just for a minute cleaning up and just put his feet up a bit more often and go out and play golf or football just a wee bit more often. You can only wish, Scott. Speaking of sport, we all know how Jill loves sport. She plays football at least twice a week, golf at least once a week, is on the driving range at least twice a week. Notice I'm looking at you, Scott, yeah? And she enjoys the sporty challenge, especially, she's especially competitive, and she has the need to win. Scott, on the other hand, hates all that stuff and thinks it's just taking part that counts. If the opposite theme doesn't work, one thing I'm sure will help your relationship are a few items which Jane and myself got when we got married 27 years ago, also helped us through the initial stages. Scott, I'd like to give you a pair of Jill defenders.
So they actually say Jill Defender on it.
This innocuous looking piece of personal protective equipment can be used at any time, but particularly when you come home from a hard day at work and put them on. The longer me and Jean were married, I trained myself not to need these. And I'm now up to the guru level, where my brain shuts off Jean subconsciously. The next thing I'm trying to become is a Zen master, where you can shut them out and still answer the dreaded question, are you listening to me? Or what have I just said? If you've reached the heady height of guru or Zen master, don't throw them away, because they'll come in handy when you have kids, particularly when you bring them back from hospital at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you can just whack them on. Jill, I've also got a little present for you.
The suspense.
I'd like to present to you the Scott Persuader.
Can I practice?
Right. This has stood your mum in good stead over the years, okay? It's an expressive word of caution, though, right? That devilish device should be used in initial stages very regularly, and in that way, you'll train them up. If it doesn't work, take it back to your mum, and mum will supersize it for you. In this way, you will train Scott. You're always right. Of course, Scott, you'll get to the point in your marriage, like most men, where it's less hassle just to let them have their own way. We professional married guys call this the path of least resistance. After I wrote this speech, I decided to go online and see what the father of the bride is supposed to say when giving a speech at his daughter's wedding. One of the strong themes is that you should talk about your daughter and extol her strong points. So I thought about this long and hard, spoke to Jean, and tried, and tried, and tried. Speech only lasted 1 minute, so I decided to write this instead. I remember the day Jill was born, and my pleasure and joy at having such a beautiful little girl. Day on day, year on year, your beauty has grown in many ways, and along with your wee sister Paula, you are the most precious thing in my life.
Aww.
I suppose you as well. Yeah. Apart from the initial sleepless nights, the way you used to point out when I missed a page when reading your stories, the numerous taxi journeys that I did for you without any thanks.
Thank you.
Well, it's a bit late now. Your talkative nature, your untidy room. Paula, you still beat it, by the way. It has been an absolute joy for me and your mum seeing you grow up, and I'm so happy you're now with Scott, starting the next chapter of your lives together.
Aww.
After saying all this, I'm not sure if opposites attract or not, but what I do know is that Scott and Jill have been together now for 6 years, and that when they are together, they are so happy. Today is the next step in... Allegedly. Jean told me to say that, right? Today is the next step in their life, and I'm sure that the relationship will go from strength to strength over the coming years. I would therefore... If I could find my glass. Is this mine? Yeah. I would therefore like to propose a toast to the happy couple and wish them health, happiness and love for the rest of their life. To Scott and Jill.
I'd now like to introduce the groom, Mr. Scott Logan.
Should be fine. Thanks. Okay.
Have a quick drink.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today on behalf of me and my wife. It's going to take a while to get used to saying that, but there might be less and less cheering and clapping next time. I'll probably fade away. So to kick off my thank yous, I want to start with Bill for giving such a great speech and for all his kind words, and also, possibly the best gift that I shall receive. And I bet that's probably the most you've ever been allowed to talk at the dinner table. I just want to extend our gratitude for what you've done in helping us to arrange the wedding today. And it's been absolutely awesome so far. Your generosity has made this day into a day that no one will ever forget, and especially Jill, who picked up her trophy husband. I will have to wait and see, though, if I thank you for giving us your blessing for allowing me to marry your daughter. I have been told things will change once the ring goes on the finger. And you smiled a little too eagerly when I told you about our plan to get married. So.
No return policy.
I'm hoping at least that I should earn my keep. I'll at least sway the gender balance in your household. In your odds. Just a little bit. I've seen the way they treat you. One man in a house with 3 women, I can only admire your resolve.
It's not good.
Big up. And to my bride. I have to say that you look absolutely amazing today. I've heard about this dress for so long.
Not what it looks like.
So long. Heard about it a lot. And you've been really into my big fat gypsy wedding, so kind of worried it had sparklers and moving parts. It's going to take at least 4 people to carry you. I'm glad to say that it doesn't, though. And I've lost my place. I'm glad to say that it doesn't, though. And I think you can score off looking like a Disney princess from your bucket list. And just soak this up, because I might never be this soapy again. Just got to draw a line under it here. I think we make a great team together. You always talking, me always listening. I think we agree on all the major things and let the small things slide, like my addiction to golf. You've let that slide, that's nice. You have a very positive attitude and you're super organised, which is probably what makes you such a great teacher. You've successfully planned pretty much every detail of this wedding, and you arranged our trip to Australia a couple of years ago, from start to finish, and it was an unbelievable trip. And if you'd known I was going to propose, I'm pretty sure you would have planned that for me too. Really, I think the only thing that I'll be able to teach you out of this marriage is to have a little devil-may-care attitude towards getting somewhere.
That's not going to
Time
happen.
isn't everything. Can let it slip. Seriously though, this could have been the first wedding where the bride was on time and the groom was late. Jean last night she headbutted a door. She headbutted the door in one of the lodges that we've got here. Just because I was running late last night to get here. Yeah, the damage was pretty devastating. There's a beautiful lodge that'll never ever. There's glass everywhere. But no, I made a very special effort to make it here on time today. So I think you can see how much it meant to me. And I wouldn't have missed it for.
Well, I hope not.
And after Jean's display of strength, it certainly wasn't not going to. So I need to move on to the parents now. And I have to say that the mother of the bride
The bride?
looks superb.
Oh, thank
Yes, you got it.
It took a lot of shopping.
To be
And it's
fair.
too much for even me.
Yeah. It took a lot of shopping, but I think we can agree it was worth it.
Oh, stop, thank you.
Sick.
I know. 2 bowls of soup for you next time.
Yeah, and for the mother of the groom as well. You had a lot to live up to having your daughter's wedding earlier in this year. But I think you look every bit as good as you did back in May.
He's after something.
I want to thank Bill and Jean, my mum and dad, for everything that they've done for us, not just in the lead up to the wedding. You've always been there, willing to help us out, if it's moving house, decorating the house, putting us through uni, and putting up with us when we went through our stroppy teenage years. Especially mine. Bill and Jean, you've always made me feel welcome in your home, and you've raised a pretty awesome daughter, which goes some way to balance now the sister-in-law. I'm only kidding, Paul. You're good people. Sometimes. To my mum and dad, really, I owe you everything. On your 3rd attempt, you really nailed the perfect offspring. You've always made Jill feel welcome and part of the family, and I extend that to Nicola and Yvonne as well, and Dan. Mum, I'm glad to see that Jill has met you on a vocal level. There's never a quiet moment when you two are around, and I mean that literally. Dad, thanks for taking me out of the house to enjoy the serenity of the golf course. You are a lifesaver. So, as an appreciation, a token of our appreciation for everything that you've done from us from 1986 till present day, we've got you
Almost
a
to
few
the
gifts.
day.
Almost
It's
to
got
the
the
day.
tag on it. It's got 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's.
I'm the organiser.
Sorry.
Did you do it right?
Jean, yours will come in the post tomorrow. Years full of handy wipes couldn't fit now. I want to take a moment to extend our thanks to Joseph and Rose Hart, Jill's grandparents. for their generous gift. They kindly paid for the lovely wedding cake that we. It's a gift that's well appreciated, and I'll make sure personally that every crumb is eaten. I can afford to let myself go now. So. To Bell and Simpson, my best men. I'm not going to spend too much time, back slapping you. Mostly because I haven't heard your speech yet. I would say that I couldn't have chosen between the two of them to have just a traditional one best man. We come as a trio. I think we can agree that the three of us got on so well, mostly because other people couldn't put up with us. And a special thanks for our gift. Well, my gift. That you bought. I mean, you really did me a solid.
Are you going to tell them what it is?
Yeah, we got a PS4. I mean, this will probably do as much for our marriage as that will. So thanks. I want to say thanks to my brother-in-law, Dan, for being my usher today. It was nice to have a groomsman that I could trust. Good to have you there. I also want to give a shout out to Rudy, my nephew. I mean, he's been training so hard to walk himself down the aisle today. I mean, he was the only one allowed to take any attention away from the bride, and he did it. He walked tall. He's probably walking better than most of our guests will leaving tonight. It's at this point I'm expected to pay tribute and to say how good the bridesmaids look today. But I'm not one to just give away a seal of approval. That's not to say that I thought you were going to look terrible. But I've never seen Rachel out a pair of Converse, so it might have just been weird. Now that I've seen them, though, I can say that they look fantastic today. And you may have, at times, infringed on squatters' rights in my house, but you did a huge amount to organise the wedding and Jill's hen do, and from keeping Jill from harming me in my sleep. For that, I'll always be thankful. And I want to give a kind of special recognition to Paula. She put in a phenomenal effort to do the invitations, the table plan, the table names that you see in front of you today. She did it all without spell mistakes. So. So, double brownie points for you. Later, you also get to get stuck into the sweetie cart that she organised, stocked and decorated. So it's a separate thank you for that as well. And I look forward to seeing the shapes everyone will be cutting on their major sugar high later on the dance floor. I expect energy. So I'd like to raise a little toast to the bridesmaids.
Oh, to the bridesmaids. The bridesmaids.
Paula, got you a little just as a little extra thank you for everything you've done. And Rachel, you'll be getting this.
Rachel's is a necessity, it's not a gift. You've got to open it now and show
It's
it.
fine, it's not embarrassing.
So I don't spill.
Show everybody, look.
Rachel, sure.
Turn it round.
vegetarian.
They're corn.
The corn.
So lastly, but of course no means least, I want to thank everyone for coming today. Thank you all for the gifts that you've given us, and it would have been a pretty terrible party had you not turned up. So thanks again. So if I haven't had the chance to speak to face to face today, then I'll make sure I'm going to be working the room later on, and I'll thank you all personally. So without much further ado, and without me getting all Gwyneth Paltrow up here, I have the regrettable duty of handing you over to my so-called best man. The titles are still to be earned, though. So,
They're just mentioned.
yeah, don't clap yet. So please forgive them. They're not generally allowed out in civilised social situations. So I now give you the two Andys.
Thanks a lot for your applause. That was two fantastic speeches. They were well written, well rehearsed, succinct. Just to mix things up, this was cobbled together in the pub last night. I learned it this morning, and we'll just see where it goes from there. Basically, I'd say good afternoon. Firstly, we'd mostly like to take a moment just to reflect on the silence. For anyone that does know Jill and Paula, getting them both in the same room, having this much quiet is quite exceptional. It's almost unheard of. But before it was just Jill and Paula, now we've got the whole extended Logan side of the family, which is it's a lot of quiet males and a lot of chatty females. I think we can all agree that Scott isn't going to be getting a lot of words in edgeways for quite a long time to come. But I'm sure Bill will quite kindly offer some pointers on how to get by. I'd say the parents are kind of looking a bit uneasy at the moment. It's almost like they're dreading this speech more than we are. Should probably start by introducing myself. I'm Andrew Simpson, best man number 1. Andrew Bell, best man number 2. After a lot of deliberation, soul searching, and basically a flick of the coin, we decided that Bell would do all the hard work, write most of the speech, stay up late, make sure it's all right, and I would come along, have a glance over, and read it out. See how it went. But seriously, it is though a great honour, we feel, to be included in part of the bridal party, to be the best men. It's hard to believe that we've known each other for almost 9 years now, since we all started. When we all started in that first year at uni, mechanical engineers, when the world was ahead of us. After the first few weeks, we just started to kind of gravitate towards each other as we realised our general excellent sense of humour, good banter. It was all quite the same. We just started to chat away. It was really in our Mr. Davidson's maths class when we first started getting really chatty. We'd sit at the back, we'd have a laugh. Great times. Mr. Davidson wouldn't agree. He was trying to teach us equations. It wasn't quite the same. But the friendship really blossomed during the Benvie era. This was the student house that at one point or another we all lived in. You can tell Isabel remembers that. It was a very fun, interesting place. There was quite a few interesting characters lived there over the years. We had a French student who would get incredibly exasperated at us when he tried to speak to us, and we just blank him because we couldn't understand what he was saying. We had a half Korean flatmate, housemate, who I think he set a record for using the same tea bag as the same number of times. And then there was Dave. I'm pretty sure it was a vampire. but yeah, it was it's all in the past. It's good times, though. You can tell from looking at Isabel's face that she remembers it well. Dishes piled high, sticky floors, and the most prized possession was the deep fat fryer. That thing was, if your chips came out nice and golden brown, you'd done it wrong. That's not it. Chips came out dripping with fat, tasty, but really not good for you at all. But you see how things have changed now. If you ever get the pleasure of going around Jill and Scott's house these days, beautiful. Everything's well kept, civilised, tidy. I see Jill spent a lot of time keeping Scott trained. Getting to the point where he's a good little housewife. On a serious note, though, you couldn't ask for a better friend than Scott. He's, like he was saying, he's one of our little trio. Where I think I speak for the same for both of them. I say we've had a lot of friends, but you lose touch with a lot of people. Bill lives up in Aberdeen, Scott's in Dunfermline, I'm in Dundee myself, but we make the effort at least once a week, once every 2 weeks to get together, get away from the women, get in the golf course. Generally have a wee bit of boys time, which I'm sure Jill's going to let him keep continuing to do well into his marriage. Well, the PlayStation 4 was...
I feel that's a gift for you guys too.
It's completely like... If he gets in it's slightly used, it probably came like that, we're not. But yeah, like you say, you can't get a better friend than Scott. Yeah, he's even postponed his own stag do due to some regrettable circumstances with someone getting a can. His job. I was going to gloss over that, but I'm not.
Oh, okay.
He's very employable, but his employer just they
don't like
that. Yeah, it's a conflict of interest. He wanted to because she didn't want him to. But yes, we still have the stag do to look forward to the future, and I'm told that we're having a proper stag do. Nothing's off limits. I'll lean this on to Jill. I'm sure that everyone would agree that she's looking absolutely beautiful today. Lovely dress. The bridesmaids as well all looked absolutely lovely coming down the aisle. Complimented by the best men when we walked them back. Me and Belle have known Jill pretty much since she came into Scott's life. We had 2005, 2006, but from Bill's math, we're looking at 2007 now. So. But
2006 was about right.
Maybe 2006.
It's close enough. But, but she came into his life entirely for the better. He definitely made a better man out of Scott. So, got him into a regular sleeping pattern. From the start. But it wasn't really until we went on holiday this year to New York, Scott talked about, when before we really started to get to know Jill better, started to bond a bit better. I can honestly say I've never been on such a well-structured, organised holiday in my entire life. She could teach some military things. It was good.
You would have just gone and sat in the hotel room.
Oh yeah, getting him up was hard enough as it was. But I feel Bill and Jill especially had a good moment when we had a night out. Most of us were a bit tired. We thought, we'll call it a day, we'll head home. Bill and Jill, no, we're going dancing. They didn't know where they were. They didn't know where the nearest club were. So they started walking around probably one of the dodgiest areas of East Harlem at 4 in the morning, trying to find somewhere to go clubbing. Why Jill felt that she had to speak to two strangers walking around an ATM looking shifty to find the nearest club, I don't know. After a bit of tenacity, probably mostly on Jill's part, they did finally somewhere to go. Upon getting in, realising after scanning the room that they were literally the only white people in an absolutely packed nightclub slightly diminished the desire to keep dancing. So, to save face, they visited the bar, had a drink, and then swiftly left. But that wasn't enough for Jill. She felt that she had to try and get her entry fee back because they'd only been in for 5 minutes. So she didn't decide it was time to go home until she'd gotten her $5 back. But I thought, was none of this meant to be shared?
I just like Scott of you, not me.
But Belle and I agree that Scott has managed to catch one of the best girls we've ever come across. We have to say how lucky you are, Scott. You'll leave here today having gained a wife that's warm, loving, caring, chatty. But both funny and beautiful. And Jill, you get to leave here today with an absolutely gorgeous wedding dress. Lovely bouquet of flowers. Now, we know Scott really doesn't like being the centre of attention, so much so that he just about busted up his ankle 2 days before the wedding to almost get out of having his first dance. Unfortunately for him, it looks like the swelling's kind of gone down. So, the current stand-in is going to have to take a back seat. Those of you who don't know my dancing, you go by the end of the night. And, my one piece of advice to you is stay clear. Give me space, and you'll not get hurt. But to wrap this up, I'd just like to make an observation. I'd also like to go to the page. I'd say it's nice to see the bride and groom's parents. It's nice to see two couples still so much in love after so many years. They still get on so well. After having spent a bit of time with all of them, it's great to see a few couples that Scott and Jill can aspire to set an example of a happy marriage after so many years. It's just testament to the good family culture that they've been brought up in. And I expect to see in a good 30, 40 years' time you'll still be as happy then as you are now. With your own family, possibly at your own weddings, and to give your own father of the bride speeches. On that note, if everyone could just raise their glasses and join me in wishing the best for the newlyweds and all their future endeavours. Scott and Jill.
Scott and Jill.
Just when you thought it was over, however, the bride and groom would like us to have a peruse through these cards that other guests have generously sent in. Tried to get Belle to read them out.
I'm the brains behind the operation.
Yeah, he's the brains. I'm the face man.
You did a good job of that,
Well, I'll try and I realise some of you will be needing a drink, some of you will be needing the toilet. I myself will include it. I'll try and get through these quickly. Just first, to Jill and Scott, wishing you many congratulations. A very happy life together. Lots of love, Laura and Neil. To Jill and Scott. Congratulations on your wedding day. Lots of love, Ryan and Steph, Kieran and Imogen. I'm guessing they're Irish.
No.
No? They're not Irish. I'll just keep my mouth shut. To Jill and Scott, hope you have an amazing wedding and honeymoon. Wishing you a long and happy marriage. Love from Joe and Chris. To Jill and Scott, love from Auntie Brenda, Uncle Dougie, Nicole, Stephanie, and Stephen and Keir. Have a great wedding. You, Mr. and Mrs.
Do you recognise that character?
Yeah, I've seen that before.
To Mr. and Mrs. Logan, or Mr. and Mrs. Batchelor. Love from Auntie Rose, Uncle Jed, Thomas and James. Scott and Jill, from Graham, Mary. No, I thought I said Mary. I was like, that's not a name. That's a state of being.
You're not Mary. She says that's a state of being Mary.
That's a state of being. Michael and Suzanne. See, I started reading this out on the assumption these people weren't here, and I could say what I wanted about them. I didn't realise you were sitting. Congratulations and best wishes for your future from Gran and Grandad. Heart. Now these cards are lovely. These come in a box now. Congratulations on your wedding day, Scott and Jill. This one I'll read out just because it came in a box. May the love and joy you both share on this special day grow even more wonderful with each tomorrow. Congratulations to a very special couple from Paul and Liz. And not to be upstaged, this one is in a box and has a bell. Unfortunately, there's no limerick inside. Congratulations, Scott and Jill, on your wedding day. Wishing you happiness and marriage today in your future and you share together. Best wishes always from Fred and Muriel. I think once more we could just toast the bride and groom. Hope you have an excellent day.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the speeches for this afternoon. But before we move on and serve the wedding breakfast, I'd like to call upon Mr. Dan Fisher to say grace.
You get to come up, Dan.
God's forgive me, Scottish is not my first language. Some can eat and can eat, and some would eat that want it. But we can eat and we can eat and say the Lord be thanked.